Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, April 9th. Well, if you think we're having it bad here in the Mid-Atlantic region, as we've had cold weather pattern for several weeks now, take a look at this photograph that was taken yesterday in the Julian Alps region of northwest Slovenia. This is just a few miles away from the northeastern border with Italy. Snow, incredible amounts here piling up over the last several weeks in the Alps over in Europe, and northern hemisphere as a whole has way above normal snowfall for this time of the year. Here we are almost to the middle part of April and seeing some snow banks here in, again, the northwestern part of Slovenia, just giving us an example of how much snow has fallen in a lot of the higher elevation regions of the northern hemisphere, specifically in this case the Alps of Central Europe. Well, we have a cold weather pattern here in the Mid-Atlantic region continuing for the next couple of days, but there will be a major warm-up at the end of this week into the weekend. 70s are possible for highs in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. However, that major warm-up will be just a temporary tease. We turn colder again early next week, and that transition from this late week and weekend warm-up to next week's cold will not come quietly. There's liable to be a widespread severe weather outbreak the end of this week into the early part of the weekend for much of the nation, central and eastern U.S., and a heavy rain event is quite likely here in the I-95 corridor, probably in the Sunday to Monday time frame as we transition from the big warm-up expected by the weekend and back to colder weather pattern for next week. Well, if you think this cold is unusual, you're quite right. It's very, very cold for the month of April. This is the map from CoolWeather.com that displays record low temperatures or near record lows on Sunday morning. This is yesterday morning in just a widespread area throughout the eastern half of the nation of not only possible record daily lows, but some of these areas in Michigan, Wisconsin, and even Minnesota had their all-time low temperature records for the month of April. Just this morning I saw a record that is unofficial right now. The National Weather Service has to confirm this, but minus 24 degrees in upstate Michigan yesterday morning, surpassing the all-time record low temperature by about 7 degrees in the month of April. So again, just some brutal cold, some of the coldest ever seen in the month of April across the upper part of the Midwest. This is yesterday morning. Let's now take a look at this morning's record or near record lows. Well, here we go. From this morning, Monday morning, not nearly as widespread as yesterday morning, but still several near record lows or possible daily record lows in this region right here as this cold wave continues. And again, we'll be colder than normal, well below normal for the next couple of days. We start to warm up at midweek, but the real warm-up comes in the Thursday and especially Friday and Saturday time period, and we'll stay warm on Sunday, but that's when we could begin a heavy rain event here in the I-95 corridor region. Well, let's take a look at last night's ensemble run of the GFS. This is a 6Z version of the GEFS model, and we'll look first here at 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Going forward right through the weekend, into the weekend, and actually into the early part of next week. Again, starting off the week way below normal here throughout much of the eastern and central U.S. And we'll just move forward here. These maps from TropicalTidbits.com. It stays on the cold side right into the middle part of the week. And here we are by Wednesday morning, still colder than normal here in the east. But notice an area of much warmer than normal conditions starting to push into the central plains. And Wednesday, again, below normal here, but Thursday begins a warm-up here. Here we are Thursday afternoon, actually getting to normal or above normal, probably the 60s for highs here in the I-95 corridor. And then that warm air really surges in by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. And again, the 70s quite likely for highs, not only in D.C., but in Philadelphia and New York City as well, perhaps even flirtation with the 80-degree mark in D.C. on Friday and Saturday. Here we go. Probably the peak of that warm air occurring right at this time, Friday night into Saturday. And again, the weekend will end up not transitioning quietly between this late week and weekend warm-up and the cold expected back here by early next week. Look at this little bit of a transition area right in this region right here. Here we are, late Saturday night time frame. Very warm conditions continuing here in the eastern U.S. on Saturday, and much colder air. This is liable to set up not only with a heavy rain event in that transition area, but a severe weather outbreak, probably the most widespread of the season so far, is coming with this transition from the warmth back to the cold. Again, we're talking late weekend time frame. Anywhere in the central and eastern U.S., there could be a widespread severe weather outbreak, and certainly heavy rain event quite likely here in the I-95 corridor in the Sunday, Monday time frame. Certainly the severe weather is less likely, but on the table here in the I-95 corridor, but that heavy rain event is quite likely here, again, Sunday, Monday. Let's keep moving forward here. That warm air probably hangs on through the day on Sunday, but again, that's when we could start to see some of the heavy rain associated with this transition. And then by the time we get to Monday, here we go, this is Monday, a week from today, the colder air not only starts to move back into the mid-Atlantic region, but let's just move forward here and show that right to the end of this forecast period, which is way out there in the month of April, it just stays colder than normal. This is now the end of next week, Friday, April 20th, staying below normal throughout much of the same area that has been below normal for the past several weeks. And again, this goes all the way out, well into the second half of the month of April, just showing below normal conditions. And keep in mind, we've mentioned this numerous times, this is the ensemble run of the GFS, which tends to smooth things out with time. And therefore, it could actually end up being a little bit colder than what this is showing. And this is just showing a persistent cold air pattern returning next week and continuing right towards the end of the month of April. Well, let's see how all this translates to the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern here. As you can anticipate here, quite a volatile mix here coming for the weekend, with very cold air pushing back into the central U.S. at the time. There's very warm air in the eastern U.S. Again, watch for a severe weather outbreak, a widespread severe weather outbreak at the end of this week going into the weekend, and a potential heavy rain event here in the I-95 corridor. Starting off the week, below normal heights here, and we'll talk about it in a moment. We have a little bit of a disturbance that could throw some rain and snow shower activity our way over the next couple of days. And here we are by Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wednesday begins the warm-up here. Normal conditions perhaps by Wednesday afternoon, maybe even a tad above normal. But then notice the heights starting to show up here as above normal for a change. We haven't had that in quite a while. A noticeable warm-up by Thursday, and the big change will be felt on Friday and Saturday. Here we are Friday afternoon. Just a very strong high-pressure ridging starting to show up right over the Mid-Atlantic region. And again, this transition area right in this region here between the above normal heights in the east and the below normal heights in the Rockies very well could be setting up that part of the nation for a widespread severe weather outbreak in the Friday-Saturday time frame. Let's keep moving forward. Again, the high heights here compared to normal hang on through the weekend here in the I-95 corridor. Potential severe weather outbreak by this time over the weekend in the Ohio Valley, and all that will also be associated with heavy rain, probably pushing into the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City area later Sunday going into Monday. That's still a long ways away, but that's the time frame I'm looking at for a heavy rain event in the I-95 corridor. Again, all that will be during the transition period from the very, very warm conditions expected here on Friday and Saturday, and the cold weather expected back here in the Monday and beyond time frame here. Let's keep moving forward here, and here we are finally by Monday of next week, a week from today. Below normal heights starting to reappear here in the Mid-Atlantic region. And as we saw with that temperature pattern, and as you can expect here, these below normal heights just stick around here right through the end of the month of April here. So enjoy the warm weather while we have it in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday time frame. Let's now take a look at the surface forecast maps. Well, here we go to the surface forecast maps from the 6Z operational version of the GFS model. All of these maps, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. Low pressure starting to form here along the U.S. Southeastern coastline here, and it's kind of an inverted trough extending from the center of that low pressure all the way up into the Ohio Valley. And that area of moisture will cause some rain and snow shower activity from anytime later today in D.C., more likely the nighttime hours in Philadelphia and New York City going into tomorrow morning. Again, it could be a rain or snow shower at just about any time from later today into tomorrow morning. There could even be a light coating of snow north of the Mason-Dixon line on grassy surfaces only later tonight into the early part of tomorrow. Then we push forward here, head towards the middle of the week. And again, Wednesday, a decent day, getting closer to normal for a change as high pressure pushes over the region. Then we have basically warm frontal type shower activity on Thursday, likely staying north of the Mason-Dixon line, maybe a couple of showers on Thursday. Once that warm front pushes far enough to the north and east, temperatures will start to soar, and quite warm on Thursday, but especially noticeable will be here Friday afternoon. Breezy out of the southwest, temperatures likely in the 70s in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, perhaps a flirtation with the 80-degree mark in the D.C. metro region on Friday and Saturday as well. And here we go. Notice here by Saturday morning, snow starting to show up again in the Central Plains. Very strong low pressure, a strong cold front extending out from that low pressure area. This is the area where could be a widespread severe weather outbreak at the end of the week, going into the weekend. This is a Saturday time frame here. Still very warm here on Saturday, and ultimately this leads to heavy rain pushing into the I-95 corridor. Here we are Sunday afternoon, and then especially Sunday night looks like the potential for a heavy rain event here in the I-95 corridor. Again, that's still several days away. We're talking a week away here, but late Sunday going into Monday, possible heavy rain event for the I-95 corridor. And then that cold air starts pouring back in here early next week, the Monday time frame. Some rain and snow showers and strong northwest winds will set up here early next week. And once that cold air returns, the early part of next week, it looks like it'll stick around for a while. So the bottom line here, a major warm-up coming to the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City in the Friday, Saturday, Sunday time frame. It begins on Thursday. Enjoy that warm-up while you can, because it looks like it'll turn colder again next week, at the early part of next week. And that transition from the big warm-up this weekend to the cool down early next week looks like it'll be accompanied by a heavy rain event here in the I-95 corridor. Severe weather outbreak is quite likely late this week going into the weekend for much of the eastern half of the nation. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.